It is time to rock, roll, and rumble here at Utah. Coming to the green flag, starter waiting. Finally, the green flag is in the air, and we are racing here at Utah Motorsports campus. On the break, Blaine Perkins going to take the hard left-hand turn down into turn number 1. He's going to bring, looks like Jesse Love going to slide inside his teammate there as they go through the left-handers, but that's going to give Lawless Allen the advantage as they work their way through the right-hand turns 2 and 3. As we see Blaine Perkins holding on to that top spot, Jesse Love will win that battle for a second as they race off into turn 4. Lawless Allen not wanting to give it up. He's going to stick the nose of that machine right there to the inside as they work their way through turns 5 and 6. Great battle for that second spot here in the early going. Jesse Love not wanting to give up anything here on lap number 1. Give that second spot to Jesse Love as now Lawless Allen has his hands full with Will Rogers as they work their way through agony and ecstasy and work their way out into turn number 9. Blaine Perkins opening up a big advantage now as they work their way into turns 9, 10, and 11. Perkins picking up his first career General Tire Pole Award here in qualifying and putting that to good use here on lap number 1 here at Utah Motorsports campus. There you see a little bit of dust kicking up there. Looked like that might have been Jesse Love dipping the right side tires off into the dust there just a little bit. Don't want to do that too much here today, folks, because those General tires are easily punctured by some of the rough gravel that we have just outside the racetrack here. So you want to keep all of those General tires on the racetrack here. There you see Jesse Love trying to keep Will Rogers at bay as they work their way through turns 13, 14, and 15. Back onto the front stretch here. And it looks like Blaine Perkins will lead them across the stripe to complete lap number 1. Perkins with about a 7-car length advantage over Jesse Love here on lap number 1. As the field now streaming single file through turns 2, 3, 4, and now into turn 5. There you see Jesse Love. He was the Bounty Rookie of the race, our season opener back at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, the Bull Ring, back in the month of February. Seems like we had a long break. Well, we did have a long break, almost a full off season. Good to be back in action here for the second time in the 2020 ARCA Menards Series West Series season. There you see a battle for position. Todd Souza mixing it up with Gio Selzy. Gio, one of the Bill McAnally Racing drivers. 5 BMR drivers entered for action here this weekend. Worked his way to the inside of Todd Souza. Todd, the only former winner ever in action here this weekend. Todd picking up the win here back in 2008, his one and only West Series victory to this point. And you see Trevor Huddleston, Blaine Perkins' teammate. He is rounding out the top 5. Trying to hold on to that 5th position as they work their way back into turn 12. That looks like turn 12. He's got his hands full there with Chris Wright, driving the Jerry Pitts owned automobile here this weekend. Of course, that number 7 car owned by Jerry Pitts has a lot of success on the road courses here, picking up a trio of road course wins with Noah Gragson behind the wheel, including both of the races here back in 2016. Field coming across the stripe to complete lap number 2. Again, Blaine Perkins with the lead. Jesse Love and Lawless Allen. Looks like Will Rogers holding on to that 3rd spot. Lawless Allen back to 4th, and Trevor Huddleston rounding out the top 5. There you see Lawless Allen working his way through turns 3, 4, and 5, trying to close the gap on Will Rogers. Rogers starting to close in a little bit on Jesse Love there in a battle for that 2nd position. Jesse Love, just 15 years of age, out of Menlo Park, California. His rookie season here in the ARCA Menards Series West. Doesn't have a lot of road course experience, but he's holding off one of the road course experts here in the ARCA Menards Series West. Will Rogers picking up not only a win at Sonoma a couple of years ago, but also picking up wins in the East Series at New Jersey Motorsports Park and Watkins Glen International. So anytime we go road course racing here, ARCA Menards Series East and West, Will Rogers definitely one of the drivers to watch, and he is starting to put some pressure on Jesse Love there in a battle for that 2nd position. As they come off of turn 15 onto the front straightaway. Meanwhile, Blaine Perkins really really starting to walk the dog on the field as we come across to complete lap number 3. Couple of seconds in hand now over Jesse Love back in that second position. Will Rogers stalking him now as they work their way through turns 3, 4, and 5. Top 5 starting to calm themselves down up at the front of the field, wanting to make sure that those General tires stay fresh enough for a late race charge here. These 30-lap sprint races shouldn't have a problem with tire wear and fuel, but still want to make sure that you conserve enough in case we do have a late race battle, potentially green-white checkered finish here. So this driver's content to log some laps right now, but Will Rogers not content. He definitely wants to get up there and mix it up for that second position as they work their way through turns 6 and 7. Excuse me, that's turns 7 and 8. Agony and ecstasy as they work their way back to turns 9, 10, and 11. And there you see that battle for the 5th position. Trevor Huddleston in the number 6, facing some pressure from Chris Wright back in the number 7 automobile. Chris Wright of the 2018 IMSA Prototype Challenge champion. He's got a lot of road course experience. Work the back bumper of Trevor Huddleston there a little bit as they work their way off to turn 12 through the kink and into turns 13, 14, and 15. Right, sharing the name of the series director here in the ARCA Menards Series West. Good to see Chris joining us here for his first ever stock car start. Doing a lot of open wheel racing in Europe this year as well. You see the field now racing down into turns number 1. Still nothing happening up at the front of the field, so we're going to keep an eye on that battle for 5th and 6th. Huddleston working his way now through turns 3, 4, and 5, opening the gap up just a little bit there on Chris Wright as they work their way up to turn 5. Huddleston's got a pair of victories here in the ARCA Menards Series West, picking up a pair of victories last season at Evergreen and at his home track, Irwindale Speedway. And that's when he's looking forward to getting back to. We will be at Irwindale Speedway next Saturday. And Trevor Huddleston looking to go back-to-back at his home track there in Southern California. It'll be my first visit to that fine facility there in Southern California. Looking forward to that one as well. There you see the battle for second on your screen. Jesse Love holding on to that second spot as they work their way through the S's here at the East Course at Utah Motorsports Campus, opening the gap up just a little bit on Will Rogers in that second position, or that third position. And there you see Will starting to get a little heat there from Lawless Allen. Allen did pick up that Rookie of the Year award last year, driving from Mike Cope Racing. A lot of fans might remember Mike Cope from the NASCAR Truck Series back in the early 2000s. There you see, looks like Will Rogers dipping to the inside a little bit, maybe looking for a little alternative line there as they work their way down the front stretch, just trying to maybe throw a fake on Jesse Love there, get out of the mirror just a little bit. Jesse doing a great job holding on to that second position right in front of this battle for 3rd and 4th between a couple of road course veterans. Everybody remembers Will Rogers finishing second to Kevin Harvick at Sonoma back in 2017. That was kind of the race that put Will Rogers on the radar for a lot of people. You know, it was relatively unknown before he came in and went toe-to-toe with one of the best in the business at Sonoma back in 2017. And Harvick, of course, making his name way back in the 1990s here in the West Series. Coming back and doing a guest appearance back at Sonoma Raceway during the Cup weekend, and Will doing a great job battling for the win there late in the race and getting a big call out from Kevin Harvick afterwards, and kind of putting himself on the radar. As there you see Chris Wright throwing up some dust as he's thrashing his way to try to keep up with Trevor Huddleston there in a battle for that 5th position. Yellow flag coming out for the first time here this afternoon. Caution going to come out. As we do have problems out on the racetrack. it looks like we have Takuma Koga, who has come to a stop at the exit of turn number 1. That has brought us to our first caution flag of the day here in the EDO Sunrise Ford Twins, presented by the West Coast Stock Car Hall of Fame here at Utah Motorsports Campus. That's what they would call a twilight doubleheader back in the minor league baseball days. As we see Blaine Perkins and Jesse Love up on the front row. And there's the Ford Mustang pace car making that hard right-hand turn there at the exit of turn 15. Field now back onto the front stretch. We will get the green flag and hopefully go the next 22 laps uninterrupted. Field coming into that restart zone. Flag is back in the air and we are racing. Let's see if Jesse Love is able to stick it side by side down into turns 1 and 2. He's going to try to make it stick. Oh, Jesse not able to hold on to that preferred groove. No, he is going to be able to try to go side by side through turns 3 and 4. Great restart by Jesse Love. Going to make that outside groove work. New leader Jesse Love taking over the top spot as they work their way off into turn 6. Here on lap number 8. Wow, incredible restart. Jesse Love working that outside groove to perfection down in turn 1. I didn't think he was going to be able to make it stick, but unbelievable job of using that outside lane. And he is going to push Blaine Perkins back to second as they work their way through agony and ecstasy. Turns 7 and 8 here on the East Course at Utah Motorsports Campus. And now Jesse Love pulling out to about a 3-car length advantage as they work their way into turns 9, 10, and 11. Trying to close in on Trevor Huddleston, and meanwhile Huddleston's teammate Blaine Perkins now trying to get back into that lead. He's right there on the back bumper of Jesse Love as they work their way into turns 13, 14, and 15. Love's going to push up just a little bit there and open the door for Blaine Perkins. Perkins side by side through turns 14. Now Jesse Love's going to have that preferred inside groove, but a switchover move there. Blaine Perkins not wanting to give up that lead officially here at the stripe. Not going to be able to get back around. Jesse Love leads the field here as we come into lap number 9. You go back to that season opener at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, the Bull Ring. 2 drivers led throughout the course of that night. So, of course, Sam Mayer picking up the victory. Sam's not entered here tonight. He led 138 laps. The other 12 laps that night were led by Jesse Love. So Jesse picking up the lead for the second time here in this early part of the ARCA Menards Series West season. He has got a handful right now as he's got 4 drivers right there who are snarling trying to find their way past. A lot of them with a lot of road course experience under their belt as well. Blaine Perkins right there on the back bumper. There you see Gio Scelzi trying to give a shove to Trevor Huddleston right there, pushing Huddleston out of the way. Gio Scelzi going to move into that 6th position right ahead, or right behind this battle for the lead. There you see Jesse Love leading the top 5 through the switchbacks there. These teams drivers really crashing those cars around the backside of the racetrack here at Utah Motorsports Campus. Gio Scelzi bringing Taylor Gray along with. Taylor going to be chasing after the championship in the ARCA Menards Series East. There you see Gracie Trotter kicked up a cloud of dust as she gets a little sideways coming through turn number 10. And there you see the battle for the lead. Once again, Blaine Perkins still working that back bumper of Jesse Love as they work their way through turns 14 and 15. Blaine Perkins not wanting to go quietly into that good night as he continues to put pressure on Jesse Love as they work their way off into turn number 1. I don't want to say turns 1 and 2. Looks like there might be 2 turns down there. That actually is just turn 1. That right there, turn number 2. There's turn number 3. There's turn 4. And they work their way off into turn 5. And there you see Perkins going to try to dip to the inside. Jesse Hill slamming the door shut. Boy, Blaine Perkins putting all kinds of pressure on the 15-year-old up at the front of the field. Trying to pressure Jesse Love into opening that door just a little bit. There you see another good battle for position. Taylor Gray and Gio Selzy working on each other as they work their way off into turns 7 and 8. And there you see Selzy drifting up just a little bit. He's going to open the door for Taylor Gray to stick the nose in there. Selzy with a good run off the corner as they come down to turns 7 and 8. Wow, that could have been something right there as Taylor Gray slipped the nose inside there. You might have seen a little bit of contact right there, but I don't see any evidence of that on the right front fender of Taylor Gray's automobile. But you see front of the field working their way off of turn 12 down to turns 13, 14, and 15. Gio Selzy with a little gap there on Taylor Gray, a little breathing room right there as they work their way through the final right-hander and then on to the left hand, turn 15. That'll pitch back out onto the main straightaway here. And there you see Blaine Perkins still right on the back bumper of Jesse Love as they work their way down the front stretch. Top two have opened up a little breathing room on Will Rogers back in third. There you see Chris Wright, who has moved his way up into fourth. Chris showing a little evidence of an off-course excursion there on the right rear tire. Looks like he has been off into the gravel just a little bit as Chris starting to close the gap in a little bit on Will Rogers. And again, Blaine Perkins trying to stick the nose just inside of Jesse Love as they work their way through turns 5 and 6 on the backside of the racetrack. And now down into agony and ecstasy, perhaps my two favorite turns here at Utah Motorsports Campus, very aptly named as the field now works their way into turns 9, 10, and 11. There's turn 10. And you know, it's interesting because none of the drivers use the actual racetrack. They're all over those rumble strips there through turn 10. Now off into turn 11 and 12. And they're using a lot of racetrack there at the exit of turn 12 as well. And now Jesse Love opening up a 5-car length advantage over Blaine Perkins back in that second position. There you see our Bonnie Rookie Spotlight driver, Lawless Allen. And there you see Trevor Huddleston off track. Problems for the driver of the number 6 SunriseFord.com Ford. We just talked about team owner Bob Brancati, one of the members of the West Coast Stock Car Hall of Fame. That's not what he wanted to see here this afternoon. Trevor Huddleston coming to a stop off course. Still a caution flag, so, and there you see the caution now coming out for the second time here this afternoon, just as leader Jesse Hill flashed across the start-finish line. So that will put us under the caution flag for the second time here this afternoon as we come to complete lap number 12. Take a look at what happened right there. Replay, see a lot of smoke out from underneath that number 6 automobile, and Huddleston getting that car off track as quickly as possible. But that is not what he wanted. One of our championship contenders here in the ARCA Menards Series West. Every point matters. Every lap, every point matters. And that could be a serious crimp in his plans to contend for that 2020 ARCA Menards Series Championship. Trevor out of the race car looking for some help. I think he's going to want to get, oh, you see little flames underneath the back of that automobile. So we're going to have to get fire services over to put out the fire in the grass. Don't want to see any of that out here. As you can tell, it's been very dry out here in the Salt Lake City area. So we want to get fire extinguisher on those flames just as quickly as we can. Caution flag out for the second time here this afternoon. Race number 1 of the Ineos Sunrise Ford Twins presented by the West Coast Stock Car Hall of Fame. Oh, frustration boiling over there for Trevor Huddleston. Just absolutely frustrated, wanting some help out there on the backside of the racetrack. Yeah, I kind of felt that way being stuck in traffic yesterday on my way to the airport, but I'm not quite sure my frustration quite reached the level of the frustration that Trevor Huddleston is feeling right now. As you can see the Haas Racing Development logo on the back of that young man's uniform. He is a member of the Haas Racing Development program. There you see him kind of coaxing the safety crew over there to put the flames out. Tough break for Trevor Huddleston and that Sunrise Ford Racing team. There you see fire crew arriving to put those flames out. Hopefully we can get that car pushed back into the pit area, get whatever is wrong with it rectified for race number 2. Not only if Trevor is unable to get that car repaired and out for race number 2, not only will that be a bad result here in race number 1, be an equally bad result in race number 2, and that really could damage his chances for the championship here in 2020. Field circulating behind the pace car. Jesse Love still on top of the leaderboard. Blaine Perkins back in the 2nd position. Will Rogers in 3rd. Chris Wright and Lawless Allen rounding out the top 5. I was just giving a shout out to our Bonnie Rookie Spotlight driver, Lawless Allen, rounding out the top 5 as we saw Huddleston go off course to bring out our 2nd caution flag of the day. Will be interesting to see once we get past the halfway point here if Will Rogers and Chris Wright back in, you see them back in 3rd and 4th. Those are the 2 drivers we've all been kind of keeping our eye on here this weekend. Everybody, whenever we talk about who we think is going to have a shot to win this one, well, it's really who's going to finish 2nd behind Will Rogers. Well, we haven't seen Will get up there and challenge for the lead here quite so far, but he hasn't really needed to. Even at 30 laps, you'd think it's a sprint race, but 30 laps around a 2.2-mile road course, still a very long race. Will has put himself in position to contend for the lead, even though he hasn't really had to go up there and fight for it. Well, it's going to be interesting once we go back green flag racing. We should be right there at or near the halfway point. Is that time? Does Will Rogers have a car that's going to carry him up to the front of the field? We're not going to have a whole lot of racing left once we do get this situation with Trevor Huddleston handled back on the backside of the racetrack. So will or can Will Rogers get up there and battle for the lead, and will he bring Chris Wright along with him? Actually, will he bring Chris Wright and Lawless Allen with him? Those 3 drivers, all the 3 drivers with the most road course experience in the field, and they're all lined up bumper to bumper back in 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Jesse Love on top of the leaderboard. Blaine Perkins sitting back in 2nd. Blaine picking up his first career General Tire Pole Award here in qualifying earlier this afternoon. A little bit different scenario than most races on the ARCA Menards Series West schedule, where we have single car qualifying. We did a 45-minute timed session here today, and the fastest lap in that session was your official qualifying time, and Blaine picked up that award. His time, 1 minute 36 seconds, .706. That was 81.898 miles per hour. Not quite track record territory here, but in any case, good enough for the General Tire pole. Just a tick quicker than Lawless Allen, who started alongside. Now, the way that we're going to line up the 2nd race here in the Ineos Sunrise Ford Twins, we're going to take the fastest lap each driver sets in this race and make that their qualifying attempt for the 2nd race. Unique way to line up the field. I like it. I think that's pretty cool. Gives every one of these drivers an incentive to run hard each and every lap out there, as the entire race is your qualifying session there for race number 2. Very unique way to line up our starting field for the 2nd half of our twin 30-lap doubleheader here at the Utah Motorsports campus. Come across to complete lap 14 this time by, still under the caution flag, and no indication that we're going to go racing next time around. We did see, as the field worked off between, I believe that was between turns 11 and 12 on the backside of the racetrack, you did see the number 6 automobile being put on the back of the rollback, so we did get Trevor Huddleston's automobile has been retrieved, and they're going to bring that back here to the pit stall. And there you see Trevor Huddleston's car on the back of the flatbed there. Tough way to end race number 1 there for that young man. We were just talking about how much he was looking forward to getting to Irwindale next week, place that he had picked up the win last year. And of course, the Huddleston family, the promoters at Irwindale Speedway. So kind of double incentive to go to that racetrack and run well, but still wanted, he hadn't closed the book on today by any means. You know, you never look past the current race weekend. And this is not the way Trevor Huddleston wanted his day to end. Hopefully his day has not ended. We do have a little bit of time here to get that car ready for race number 2 coming up here in just a little bit. We'll have to look and see if they're going to pull a backup car out of the trailer or not. I don't know if that is. We'll have to double check with the ARCA officials on that to make sure that would be legal, even if that was an option. If in any case that Sunrise Ford Bob Brucati racing team has a lot of work ahead of them to get that number 6 car ready for the second half of our doubleheader here this afternoon. Field working their way about halfway through lap number 15 here. They will come to the halfway point. 15 laps in, 15 laps to go here in race number 1. Okay, you see the wide open spaces here just outside of Salt Lake City, Utah. My first time here in the great state of Utah, and what a beautiful place, wonderful city Salt Lake City is, and what a beautiful setting. There you see all the mountains off in the distance here. You see a little bit of snow on top of some of those mountains as well. A little bit of a late arriving summer out here in Utah, but in any case, one of the most picturesque settings you will see for the ARCA Menards Series West here in the 2020 racing season. A little bit of time tonight. I'm going to make a trip up to the top of one of those mountains before I head out to the airport to catch my flight home. But in any case, what a beautiful location. This racetrack built back in the early part of the 2000s by Larry Miller, who was former owner of the Utah Jazz. Built this facility because he was a car collector. He wanted to come out and have a place to race his own race cars, and eventually enough people came out here and said, you know, I want to come out and drive my cars on this racetrack as well. And it turned from kind of a private car club to a facility that can host some of the top level road course events here on the West Coast. And it is great to have ARCA Menards Series West racing back here for the first time since 2016. Only road course events on the ARCA Menards Series West series here in 2020. Understand that the Bob Brucati racing team has unloaded the backup car. There you see them pushing it down into the garage stall. So whatever the problems were with Trevor Huddleston's car here in race number 1, going to be terminal for this event. That team already looking forward to race number 2. They're going to get that backup car prepped and ready and through inspection. About an hour before we go racing here in race number 2, actually about 45 minutes before the scheduled start of race number 2. So that team, like I said, has a lot of work ahead of them as we close in on the start of our second of our field events here at Utah Motorsports Campus. Cross flags here at the start finish line and the 1 to go signal. Very busy chief starter on that flag stand here, given the 1 to go and the halfway sign. So Jesse Love leading the field across to complete lap 15, and that will mean that he is the winner of the Richmond Water Heaters Halfway Challenge here at Utah Motorsports Campus for the first of our 2 twin bill races here this afternoon. He's going to walk away with an extra $250 here, courtesy of our friends at Richmond Water Heaters. I just bought a house, and I need to upgrade my water heater, so I know what I ought to be doing. When I get home to Ohio later on in the week, I'm going to be making my trip to Menards to pick up a brand new Richmond water heater later on in the week. And I'm going to see if I can get a little extra bonus if I mention Jesse Hill's name. There you see Trevor Huddleston, and boy, you just look at the dejection on the look of that, on the face of that young man. Not the way he wanted his day to end here today. Just a tough break, as I said, for one of our championship contenders here in the ARCA Menards Series West. But did see his team already hard at work getting that backup car prepped and ready. Hopefully they will get that machine in tip-top shape as we get ready to rock and roll in race number 2. Field now working its way through turns, I believe that's turns 13, 14, and nope, actually not turns 13, 14, and 15. That's turns 7 and 8 as we come to about the halfway point of the lap here at Utah Motorsports Campus. Here's a good shot of Gracie Trotter in the number 99 Ineos Toyota, another one of the Bill McAnally Racing entries here today. Saw Gracie get a little off track earlier this afternoon, sticking her hand out the window, getting a little air conditioning, a little air moving inside the cockpit there, that number 99. Gracie's got some stock car experience, but making her first ever attempt on a road course here today. She had a great outing at the Bull Ring in Las Vegas Motor Speedway earlier to kick off the 2020 racing season. I have a lot of high expectations for her, but this is definitely a learning experience, as it's the first time she's going to be turning left and right in one of these big heavy stock cars. So I'm going to keep an eye on Gracie as she continues to learn road course racing throughout the course of this afternoon. Here you see Todd Souza in the number 13. Todd, the only former winner in the field here, picking up the win. Back then, in 2008, we ran the full course here at Utah Motorsports Campus. We're on the East course today. They've got the West course, of course, where the motorcycles were running earlier this afternoon. And they conjoined those two racetracks to make about a 3.1 mile layout. That was the track that Todd won on back in 2008. His only career West Series victory to this point. Had a fantastic battle with Jim Englebright. Those two swapped the lead a couple of times on the last couple of laps, and Todd picked up the lead from Jim Englebright on the last lap to pick up the win here. Thrilling race back here in 2008. Ford Mustang pace car making that right-hand turn to pull off the racetrack in turns 15. Jesse Love will lead the field to the green flag. Let's see if Blaine Perkins is able to do what Jesse Love did on that last restart as we come into the restart zone. Green flag is back in the air, and we are racing on the break. Looks like Jesse Love going to get the jump as they work their way off down into turn number 1. Perkins trying to keep that machine to the outside. He's not going to be able to make it happen, and now he's got his hands full with Will Rogers as they knock fenders off of turn 2. Perkins going to slide back into that second spot, but now you see a battle side by side for that third position. Chris Wright to the outside. He's going to take over third from Will Rogers. And now Chris Wright going to put some pressure on Perkins as they work their way off of turn 5 down into turn 6. Fantastic restart for Chris Wright in the Jerry Pitts own number 7. Here comes Will Rogers now to the inside as they work their way down into turns 7 and 8. Will Rogers not wanting to give up anything on this restart. Side by side through turns 7 and 8, and a little dust again being kicked up by Chris Wright there in the number 7. He's not afraid to put that right side tires off into the gravel at all here this afternoon as they work their way over the rumble strips there in turn 10. Chris Wright really thrashing that number 7 Master Tech Chevrolet as they work their way through turns 10, 11, and 12. And there you see that battle for that third position has allowed the top two about a 10-car length gap as they work their way off in turns 13, 14, and 15. And again, Will Rogers trying to put some pressure on Chris Wright in a battle for that third spot. That intensity level really ratcheting up here as we are in the second half of our opening race. The Ineos Sunrise Ford Twins presented by the West Coast Stock Car Hall of Fame. And again, Will Rogers dipped into the inside, trying to stay out of that mirror in the battle for that third spot. There you see, Blaine Perkins getting a little heavy on that throttle through turn 1 there, kicking the tail end of that automobile just a little sideways. Don't want to do that too much. Don't want to abuse those tires too much. Still a long way to go here. 13 laps yet to go as there you see Perkins trying to look to the inside of Jesse Love as they work their way back through turns 4, 5, and 6. Love now stretching out a 3 or 4 car length advantage as they work their way out of turn 6 and down into turns 7 and 8. Jesse Love, 15-year-old rookie out of Menlo Park, California, doing a great job here in that number 19 Napa Performance Power Plus Toyota. There you see these drivers have been battling hammer and tong all day long, and it looks like Gio Scelzi has worked his way past Lawless Allen. He's going to bring Taylor Gray along with him. Gio Scelzi up to 5th, Taylor Gray up to 6th. They move Lawless Allen back into 7th. Allen, one of the drivers with a lot of road course experience. Gio Scelzi with a driver with no road course experience. I did not see that coming at all here this afternoon. Gio Scelzi doing a great job. And again, maybe it's that turning right to go left situation on the dirt tracks that is working to his advantage here this afternoon. But Gio Scelzi doing a great job in that number 16 Napa Toyota for Bill McAnally Racing here this afternoon. Again, there you see Will Rogers again dipping to the inside. That's a little mind game that he's playing on those drivers he's racing with, or there's some sort of advantage on the tires, trying to keep those tires cool here this afternoon. But in any case, Will Rogers with a very unique line down the front stretch here as we work lap number 17 here at Utah Motorsports Campus. Again, Blaine Perkins with a unique line there going off into turn 5 and 6. Anything you can do to try to stay out of that driver's mirror in front of you might give you a little bit of an advantage, but now that he has dropped back a little bit, he's starting to fall back into the clutches of Chris right there in that number 7 automobile. Top 3 drivers all pretty evenly matched here. And there you see a battle for 5th, 6th, and 7th. Here's Taylor Gray in the number 17 for DGR Crossland Racing. By David Gilliland. We talked about his father, Butch, a member of the West Coast Stock Car Hall of Fame. Of course, David Gilliland, the father of Todd Gilliland, former driver of that number 16 car that Gio Scelzi is currently at the wheel of. And there you see that battle for the lead. Once again, Jesse Love thrashing that automobile back and forth. Turns 13, 14, and 15, and back out onto the front straightaway here. Blaine Perkins is trying to get a run as they race their way off into turn number 1. Perkins not going to be able to make it happen this time around, as again Jesse Love working his way through turn 1 there, slamming the door shut on exit. Their way through turns 2. There's turn 3 right there. Turn 4 right here, so they're going to work their way off into turn 5. Blaine Perkins with a much shallower entry there into turn 5. That could come into play as the sands in the hourglass start to run thin here later in the day. Now they're working their way down into turns 7 and 8. Agony and ecstasy one more time. See the field working through turns 9, 10, and 11. Again, that turn 10 is where they're working their way over the rumble strips. There you see Chris Wright with a big hand for the steering wheel as they work their way through turn 10 that time around. Turn 12, the kink right there as they work their way off into turns 13, 14, and 15. Combination of corners here before they work their way back out onto the main straightaway. And there you see Blaine Perkins trying to work to the inside as they work their way through turn 14. Jesse Love not having any of it as he slams the door shut there through turn 15. And Perkins all over, giving him a little nudge there out of turn 15. Perkins with a faster car at this point just can't find a way around Jesse Love as they work their way down the front stretch one more time. Looks 10 laps to go here in race number 1 of the Ineos Sunrise Ford Twins, presented by the West Coast Stock Car Hall of Fame, live here on Track Pass. Appreciate you joining us. Great Saturday afternoon for racing here just outside of Salt Lake City, Utah, and we have got a great battle for the lead. Blaine Perkins trying everything he can. He has thrown everything but the kitchen sink at Jesse Love as they work their way through turns 7 and 8. There you see Chris Wright back in third. Chris thrashing that automobile as we will have 9 laps to go here in race number 1. Chris Wright trying to work his way up in to make it a battle, a three-way battle for the win here at Utah Motorsports Campus. That you see Blaine Perkins again trying to close in and maybe trade a little bit of paint with Jesse Love there as they work their way out of turn 12 and down into turns 13, 14, and 15. There you see Blaine Perkins pushing up to the outside of the racetrack. He's going to give up that second position to Chris Wright. Perkins trying to make a dive at the lead. He went off the racetrack and giving up that second spot to Chris Wright. Wow, big time action here as we close in on the finish of race number 1 here at Utah Motorsports Campus. Perkins not wanting to give it up. He's still to the inside of Chris Wright. Through turns 1 and 2, he's going to retake that second position. Slip and slide, dip and dive, little short track type action here on the road course at Utah Motorsports Campus. Perkins tried to take over that top spot, slipped out of the groove just a little bit. That opened the door just enough for Chris Wright to get in there and take over that second spot temporarily. But Perkins still with a very good race car, able to work his way back past Chris Wright on the exit of turn number 1, but that has allowed Jesse Love to open up about a 15 car length advantage as they work their way through turns 7 and 8. Blaine Perkins trying to regroup, regather himself as they work their way off into turns 13, 14, and 15. This is right where they're on the racetrack where he got out of the groove last time around and opened himself up to attack from Chris Wright. There you see everybody pretty evenly spaced until you get back to this battle for position. The battle between Gio Scelzi and Lawless Allen. We saw it back at the top of the screen there. It's really just back on the racetrack. There you see Gio Scelzi, number 16 Napa Auto Parts car, trying to hold off his teammate Lawless Allen, battled just outside of the top 5. There you see a battle inside the top 5. Will Rogers side by side with Taylor Gray. Taylor just turned 15 not that long ago. You have to be 15 to compete here in the ARCA Menards series, and he was itching to go earlier in the season, just wasn't quite old enough, and has now finally turned 15 and is eligible to compete. This is his first road course race as well, doing a very good job in his first time on a road course. They're competing head-to-head with Will Rogers and actually slipping inside of Will Rogers as they work their way through turns 7 and 8. So we're going to move Taylor Gray up into the 4th position and drop Will Rogers back to 5th. I didn't, again, talk about things I did not see coming. Did not see Taylor Gray with no road course experience working his way past Will Rogers inside of 10 laps still here as we come to the completion of the first of 2 twin races here for the ARCA Menards Series West at Utah Motorsports Campus. Blaine Perkins in that number 9 trying to close that gap on Jesse Love. There you see him kicking the rear end of that automobile sideways on the hammer off of turn number, that was turn 14. There they work their way through turn 15 and back onto the front straightaway here as we complete lap 23, just 7 laps to go. We talked about the sands of the hourglass quickly running through. Just 7 laps remaining to settle it here. Jesse Love with a 10 car length advantage over Blaine Perkins, who has 10 car lengths himself on Chris Wright back in 3rd. You see Perkins closing that gap up just a touch as they work their way off into turns 5 and 6. Perkins seems to do very well on the technical sections of the racetrack. these tight lower speed corners, but Jesse Love able to get the power down and open up that gap whenever we get to the long straightaways here on the East Course at Utah Motorsports Campus. Battle for second position. Chris Wright closing in on the back bumper of Trevor Huddleston. Wright trying to find his way to the inside. Huddleston not going to allow him to open that door any at all here as we close in on the finish of the first of our twin bill here at Utah Motorsports Campus. Huddleston really thrashing that car. Again, kicking the rear end sideways as they work their way through turns 13 and 14. Chris Wright with a lot of road course experience. He's trying to put all of that experience turning left and right to his advantage here this afternoon. But just not able to close in the gap enough to be able to put one of those moves to good use on Blaine Perkins to take over that second position. Perkins, again, now falling back even a little more. I would say maybe what was a 10-car length advantage has now opened up to about a 15-car length advantage up at the front of the field. As there you see Will Rogers continuing to drift back through the field. He has now fallen outside of the top 5. Gio Scelzi has worked his way past. And now Will Rogers facing a little pressure from Wallace Allen in a battle for that. That's going to be a battle for 7th position. Not quite the day that Will Rogers was expecting to have here, at least not the start of the day that Will Rogers was expecting to have here in race number 1. Got 1 career victory here on the West Tour. He's got 3 career East Series victories. There you see some debris flying off of that number 42 car as he bounced his way over the rumble strips there in turn number 10. Looked like that debris did make its way off into the gravel on the side of the racetrack, so we're going to stay green. Drivers really punishing these cars as they jump them over the rumble strips there on the inside of turn 10 there. There you see the battle for the lead. Now it had opened up to about a 10-car length advantage, now down to a 2-car length advantage. Blaine Perkins regrouping himself. He's going to make another run at Jesse Love here as we come to complete lap 25. 5 laps to go this time around. Does Blaine Perkins have enough to work his way past Jesse Love and take his first career ARCA Menards Series West victory? All 3 of these drivers up at the front of the field going for career win number 1. Jesse Love again opening up, now make it back up to 5 to 7 car lengths, but every time we go into these tight corners, Blaine Perkins closes that advantage in ever so slightly. Making our way through turns 5 and 6. Again, Jesse Love stretching it out, 7 car lengths now. And there you see Perkins again going to close it in to 2 to 3 car lengths as they work their way through turns 7 and 8. And there you see it, folks. Caution flag going to come out for the 3rd time here this afternoon. And that's going to set up a thrilling finish. Caution flag out for the 3rd time here this afternoon. And there you see the reason why. Lawless Allen has come to a stop. Window net is down. Apparently some issue underneath the number 12 car, and that's going to put us under the caution flag for the 3rd time here this afternoon. Lawless Allen, another one of those championship contenders, finding an early end to race number 1 here at Utah Motorsports Campus. With 26 laps complete this time around, that should just give us a couple of laps to go, if not an actual green-white checkered finish if we do have to go into overtime. But that certainly will not give us a lot of time once we go back to green flag racing. There you see, if you look to the left side of your screen, you see the steam boiling out from underneath the hood there. Evidently some overheating issues underneath the hood there of the number 12 Auto Parkit Toyota. You can also see the dejection and disappointment on that young man as well. Frustration. Water temperature underneath the hood of that number 12 automobile. Talked to Lawless earlier in the week, and he thought he had a good shot at fighting for the victory here this afternoon. Again, this probably couldn't have happened at a worse time. I don't know if they've got a backup car available for them. If they do, they can pull that out and get it ready. If they don't, they're going to have a very short turnaround to get whatever problems underneath the hood rectified in time to go racing for the second half of our twin bill here in the EDO Sunrise Ford presented by the West Coast Stock Car Hall of Fame. There you see Gio Scelzi in that Napa Auto Parts Toyota. Very pleasantly surprised at how well he has run here this afternoon, as there you see the safety crew has arrived to assist Lawless Allen as he climbs in. At least going to get a little air conditioning as he hops in with the safety team here at Utah Motorsports campus. It's a very warm day here, the low 90s here today. He's going to get a little water to cool himself off. Much appreciated on a warm day here just outside of Salt Lake City. And you see he's driven off into the gravel pit there, so they're going to have to pull him out. Of course, that gravel there in position in case somebody gets off course at a high rate of speed. You don't want them sliding off and making contact with barriers. So a lot of those gravel pits placed strategically around the course here, particularly on the outside of some of those higher speed corners. But once you come to a stop in them, then you have to find your way out of them. Then that can be a challenge as well. It's going to take a minute or two to get that number 12 car out of the gravel pit, and we will continue to circulate behind the Ford Mustang pace car. Jesse Love, gotta wonder what's going on inside the cockpit of that automobile. It's his second career ARCA Menards Series West start. Just 15 years of age. He's got a lot of open wheel dirt track experience. Doesn't have a lot of pavement stock car experience. Doesn't have a lot of road course experience. But here he is leading. He's going to have just a couple of laps to go. This is going to be a very, very critical restart. Do not want to slip the tires, don't want to get up out of the groove, don't want to give up anything on this restart. Will be very interesting to see how Jesse Love handles this on the restart. And of course, Blaine Perkins, another young man looking for his first career win. All four of the top five, actually all of the top five drivers looking for career win number one. The only driver there, you see him, Will Rogers, and there you see another driver, Todd Souza. These are the only two drivers in the top seven who have won in the ARCA Menards Series West, and of course each of them only have one career victory out here. So everybody looking for a big win here at the front of the field. But every one of our top five drivers looking for career win number one. At this time around, so hopefully we will get the one to go signal next time by. That will give us 2 laps of green flag racing. Will be like a green white checkered finish, but will not be considered an overtime finish. So we'll be racing hopefully to the advertised distance, 30 laps, 66 miles. There you see that number 12 car still buried down at the end of the main straightaway here. There you see just how deep that gravel is. Yeah, it looks like that car stuck in gear as well. That could be the actual problem on that automobile. Could be a transmission issue for Lawless Allen in that number 12 car. Could be stuck in gear, which is, you know, oval tracks, you don't do a lot of shifting, if at all, particularly on the bull rings at the ARCA Menards Series West runs. Here on the road courses, you're going to have upwards of 14 to 15 gear shifts per lap. So transmission issues oftentimes do jump up and bite you. Apparently that has jumped up and bit Lawless Allen here. As apparent transmission issues are going to bring an early end to race number one. There you see Bobby Hillis. How about a good shout out to Bobby Hillis, the independent guy, the ultimate underdog here. We saw him at the Bull Ring at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. The car number was number 0, and he had a little less than sign on that automobile. And I asked him, what's with the less than sign? And he said, well, that stands for our budget. Our budget is less than 0. Well, Bobby coming up with enough of a budget to acquire a new race car. Good looking race car here. And Bobby's still out there trucking along, still on the lead lap, still in position to come away with what would be his second career top 10 finish. So hopefully Bobby can keep it together here and come away with a solid top 10 run in his second start of the 2020 season. We did not see Bobby Hillis in action with us when we brought the Sioux Chief Showdown event to Phoenix International Raceway, or Phoenix Raceway, back in the month of February. See a little damage to the front of that automobile. Bobby thrashing that car around a little bit. Looks like he's had an off-track excursion or two here this afternoon. The First Impression Press Chevrolet. I saw Bobby Hillis race for the first time back in 2000, back at the Gander RV Outdoor Truck Series event up at the road course at Portland International Raceway. So Bobby been around NASCAR and ARCA racing for a long, long time. Good to see him out here with a new piece and in contention for the top 10 run here this afternoon. There you see the safety crew. We have dug him out of the gravel trap. Now we're going to work on getting Lawless Allen back to the pit area. And the Bill McAnally racing crew will hopefully get to work on that automobile. You know, the crew chief of the number 12 car is Gary Collins. A lot of you, we were talking about the NASCAR Gander trucks. A lot of you people will remember Gary built the very first the prototype NASCAR truck series over at the shop just outside of Mesa Marin Speedway that was owned by his father, Marion Collins. Marion also a member of the West Coast Stock Car Hall of Fame, so those ties reach very, very deep for the Collins family out here on the West Coast. Unfortunately, Gary and his guys are going to have a little bit of work to do to get Lawless Allen ready for action here in round number 2, which will come up just about a half an hour after the conclusion here of race number 1. Coming off turn 15, looks like we will get the one to go signal this time around. Field will double up for the restart. And we will have a 2-lap dash to settle it. Jesse Love and Blaine Perkins will restart on row number 1. Taylor Gray and Chris Wright back in row number 2. Gio Selzy and Will Rogers back in row number 3. Todd Souza and Gracie Trotter back in row number 4. We talked about Gracie a little bit earlier this afternoon. She got off course a couple of times, but has done a good job here. Kept all the fenders on that automobile. Looks like she's got a shot at coming away with a solid top 10 run here in race number 1. Just trying to imagine the pressure that's on the shoulders of young Jesse Love as he works his way around the racetrack here. He knows he's got 2 laps to go. He knows he's got a snarling pack of very experienced drivers and some inexperienced drivers behind him as well, including one of his teammates, Gio Selzy, back there in the 5th position in the number 16 automobile. Just have to wonder what is going through that young man's mind as he's got about a half a lap to go before we get back to green flag racing. We're going to have about 4.4 miles of racing to settle it here in race number 1. And every one of these corners, 15 corners per lap, so 30 corners, he's going to have to be perfect. And we've already seen just getting out of the groove one time in one corner is enough to open up the door. We saw that with Blaine Perkins just before that third and hopefully final caution flag of the day. He got out of the groove over there in turns 13 and 14. That opened the door for Chris Wright. If that happens, either one of these drivers, Chris Wright is right there and ready to pounce. So we should see a slam bang finish here as we come to the conclusion of the first of 2 30-lap sprint races here for the ARCA Menards Series West here at Utah Motorsports campus. See Holly Holland in the number 50, the JBL.com Toyota also one of the Bill McAnally Racing drivers. Finished 12th in the opening race of the season at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Grayson Trout and Todd Souza. Also saw a very brief shot of Brian Kaminsky in the number 80. There you see Brian right there in the number 80, the Cox & Cox Construction Chevrolet. Brian making his ARCA Menards Series West Series debut. He was going to race in the unfortunately canceled event that was originally scheduled at Sonoma Raceway. He's from nearby Redding, California. He is in the number 80 car, and there you see him right behind Todd Souza there in number 13. Brian just decided, you know what, we got a road course car, was ready. We had nothing else to do this weekend, so he's going to come out and join us. And it looks like he is in position to come away with a solid top 10 run in his ARCA Menards Series West debut. 2 laps to go to settle it. Pace car off to the right side of the racetrack there. As Jesse Love and Blaine Perkins working their way out of turn 15. Down that long front straightaway. Jesse's got a lot of time to think about it before the green flag comes back out. Waiting, waiting, waiting. There's the green flag. We are back underway for a 2-lap dash to the checkered flag. Jesse Love driving it off down into turn number 1. Blaine Perkins going to push up to the outside of the racetrack just a touch. That's going to be exactly what Jesse Love was looking for. Love's got a 2-car length advantage as they work their way through turns 3, 4, and now down into turn number 5. There you see a battle for third. Chris Wright swapping some paint with Taylor Gray right there. Gray to the outside of the racetrack. Blaine Perkins off the racetrack. Perkins off the racetrack. He was running second. Oh, he's going to give up a lot of ground as he digs through the gravel trap there in turn number 5. There you see all the gravel coming off of the nose. Flat left front tire for Blaine Perkins. Tough way to end his challenge for victory here in race number 1 at Utah Motorsports Park. Perkins' misfortune is exactly what Jesse Love was looking for. He has now got a 10-car length advantage over Taylor Gray, who has jumped up into the second position. Taylor Gray now second over Chris Wright back in third. Wright trying to make something happen, dipping left and right as they work their way out to the turns 13, 14, and 15. Right to the outside in turn 13. He's going to have the inside groove for turn 14. Not going to be able to make it stick. Taylor Gray going to hold on to that second position as they work their way through turns 14 and 15. Off of turn number 15. There you see the white flag in the air. One more lap to go for Jesse Love. There you see the battle for that second position. Chris Wright looking to the inside. He's going to shove Taylor Gray to the outside. Gives second to Chris Wright as they work their way off the 1 and into turn 2. Chris Wright now going to try to reel in Jesse Love at the front of the field. Does he have enough time? Does he have enough race car to close the gap on Jesse Love? They're working their way into turns 5 and 6. Taylor Gray trying to come back and make a run at that second position. There you see Jesse Love just to the left side of the screen there. Leader with 5 car lengths in hand over Chris Wright back in the second position. Working their way through turns 7 and 8. About half a lap to go here at Utah Motorsports Campus. Chris Wright thrashing that automobile off of turn number 8 and on their way into turns 9 and 10. Will Rogers kicking up a cloud of dust as he works his way through turns 10 and 11. There's the battle for third. Gio Scelzi trying to work his way past Taylor Gray. Gray drifting sideways off of turn 12. Gio Scelzi to the inside as they work their way into turns 13 and 14. Give the third spot to Gio Scelzi as we work our way through the final set of corners. Coming to the checkered flag. Taylor Gray lighting up the brakes. Lots of action here on the final lap at Utah Motorsports Campus. Here comes Jesse Love off of turn 15. Looking at the checkered flag, Jesse Love will pick up the win in race number 1 of the Ineos Sunrise Ford Twins. Chris Wright coming across the stripe in second. Gio Souza with a career best finish in 3rd, Taylor Gray 4th, and Will Rogers across the stripe in 5th. But how about it? Jesse Love picking up career win number 1. 15-year-old out of Menlo Park, California, going to victory lane in race number 1, the Ineos Sunrise Ford Twins, presented by the West Coast Stock Car Hall of Fame. And you know he's not going to have a lot of time to celebrate this victory. As soon as the cars come to a stop, we're going to set the timer. We have about 30 minutes between races. The crews are going to make a quick once-over of these race cars, put on 4 fresh General tires, get everybody lined back up. We're going to rock and roll for another 30-lapper. Look at this action on the final lap. Taylor Gray really, there you see the left front tire going down on Blaine Perkins. That ending Blaine's run for victory here today. Blaine in the 2nd position had that left front tire go down, and we talked about that gravel around the racetrack all afternoon long. Unfortunately, that gravel jumping up and biting him and taking him out of contention to win here. But Jesse Love celebrating career win number 1. There's a little love from his teammate Gio Souza as they work their way back to pit road. And how about it? Chris Wright there in the number 7 car. Now, we talked about Noah Gragson picking up a pair of victories here in 2016. He also picked up a win back at Sonoma Raceway, I believe, in 2018. So we had a 3-race win streak on the road courses for Jerry Pitts. That win streak event unfortunately coming to an end here, but Jesse Love, in any case, celebrating career win number 1. As the rest of the field makes its way back down pit road, Jesse Love out here on the front straightaway looking for that checkered flag. There you see Jesse finally getting that checkered flag, celebrating career win number 1 here in the ARCA Menards Series West. Jesse getting that helmet off, getting a little breath of fresh air right there. And as we said, a very hot day here at Utah Motorsports campus. Very excited young man picking up career win number 1 here in the ARCA Menards Series West. You know, and we talked about the double headers that we have had here in ARCA Menards Series West, and that was the NASCAR K&N Pro Series West. First same-day doubleheader in series history happened back in 2017. That was at Irwindale Speedway. Both of those races won by Todd Gilliland. We had another same-day doubleheader back in 2018 at Tucson Raceway Park. Both of those won by Cody Vanderwall. We had another same-day doubleheader at Tucson in 2019. Both of those won by Derek Kraus. Seems like anytime we run a pair of races on the same day, the same driver wins. That is a very good omen for Jesse Love. Can he continue the streak by picking up the win in the nightcap coming up here in just about half an hour's time? But in any case, Jesse Love got a lot of history on his side as he looks now for career win number 2. That coming up here in just about 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's super cool. I remember going to Bill's shop, I think 4 or 5 years ago. I was thinking about going into the Junior Late Model Series, which is out in California. And thanks to this guy right here, dude. He coached me really well, and he's the man. So I can't thank all of those guys enough. You know, they did a heck of a job the whole weekend, and these guys are just awesome. And I'm super blessed, and I'm super fortunate and blessed by the Lord above to be able to come here and do what I love to do. And I was a little worried there for a second. You know, we didn't really have the fastest, turning cars sometimes, but, Kyle Walezik, he got me tuned up, and he helped me, get through the turns real well. And the same with Bill McIntyre. Bill was actually spotting for me, too, so that was pretty cool. I was able to know where everybody was the whole time, so I wasn't mirror driving. That's a pretty bad habit I have sometimes. So overall, it was a team effort, and it was all these guys right here. I'm just a wheel holder, so, yeah.
Blaine Perkins and Jesse Love leading the field onto the main straightaway. here at Utah Motorsports Park. Round number 2 of the Ineos Sunrise Ford Twins, presented by the West Coast Stock Car Hall of Fame. It is time to rock, roll, and rumble. Green flag in the air. We are racing here in Utah. Blaine Perkins leading the field down into turns 1 and 2. Jesse Love made that outside groove work late in the race in round number 1. Not able to make it stick here in round 2, but he's going to dip to the outside, down the backside of this run into turns 3, 4, and 5, but not able to make it stick. Blaine Perkins going to pull out to a 5-car length advantage as they work their way off into turn number 5 and 6. Jesse Love slotting back into that second position in front of Will Rogers and Chris Wright. Field now starting to stream single file through turns 7, 8, and 9. They're actually working their way down to turns 7 and 8 right now. Of course, this is agony and ecstasy, my favorite set of turns here on the East Course at Utah Motorsports Park. Here's first attitude, second attitude, and bad attitude, turns 9, 10, and 11. Winner of round number 1 here today. He's going to have his hands full here with Will Rogers. Will not going to be content with 5th. Not a bad day for most drivers, but Will Rogers, whenever we go road course racing here in the East and West Series, he is going to be the favorite. And Will Rogers already starting to put some pressure on Jesse Love in a battle for that second position as we now work our way through turns 13, 14, and 15, coming to complete lap number 1 here at Utah Motorsports Campus. Perkins streaming across the start-finish line to complete lap number 1. As they race their way off into turn number 1, Jesse Love holding on to that second position. Will Rogers third. There's Chris Wright back in second. We heard from Chris after his runner-up finish in the first race here today. He's making that transition into stock car racing. Said he's learning how to use those fenders on these big, heavy stock cars. There you see Todd Souza back in the number 13 automobile, the Central Coast Cabinets Toyota. Todd, a former winner here at Utah Motorsports Campus back in 2008, trying to put some pressure on Gio Scelzi in the battle for that 5th position. Rounding out the top 5. There's that battle for the 6th position between Gio Scelzi and Todd Souza. Souza going to dip to the inside a little bit there as they make their way into turns 9, 10, and 11. Not finding any racing room there. There you see Gio Scelzi throwing around a little bit. Saw Gio's dad here earlier today, Gary Scelzi, 4-time NHRA drag racing champion. Gary's got a pair of championships in each of the Top Fuel and Funny Car divisions, and Gio, of course, the younger brother of Dominic Scelzi. Dominic, a wing sprint car veteran himself. Gio picking up the victory at Williams Grove a couple of years ago to become the youngest ever winner in the World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series. Now making the transition to bodied stock car racing. Doing a good job coming home 3rd here in round number 1 today. Up a little gap on Todd Souza in a battle for that 6th position. There you see Gracie Trotter back in 8th position. Gracie making the adjustment to road course racing here today. Her first ever stock car start on a road course. We saw her off course a couple of times early in the going in round number 1 here earlier this afternoon. Gracie doing a good job now holding on to that 8th position as we got a couple of laps in the books here in round number 2. Gracie, one of the 5 drivers in the Bill McAnally Racing stables. Gracie had a great run at the Bull Ring to start the season. See, you're starting to close in a little bit on Todd Souza, maybe making a run at that 7th position. Gracie picked up a top 5 finish, finished 4th in the season opener at the Bull Ring earlier in the season. Gio Scelzi again throwing that machine around the corners as he works his way out of turn 11 down into turn 12. And the number 16, there's Todd Souza and Gracie Trotter following suit as well. Brian Kaminsky in the number 80 automobile. He's going to face some heat from Trevor Huddleston. Remember, Trevor started way out back Patiently work his way through the field in the backup car, the number 6, one of the 2 Sunrise Ford entries for Bob Brancati Racing here this weekend. We talked about Bob in the opening round here today, one of the handful of West Coast Stock Car Hall of Fame members that is actively working here this weekend. There you see Gio Scelzi leading Todd Souza into turn number 1. Gracie Trotter following suit. And there you see Trevor Huddleston working his way inside of Brian Kaminsky there through turn number 1 and into turns 2, 3, and 4. We talked a little bit about Kaminsky, and at the end of the first race here today, he was scheduled to run the race at Sonoma Raceway, and unfortunately with the schedule shakeup that we have had as part of the COVID-19 situation, that race at Sonoma was bounced from the schedule, and he had the car sitting there. It was all prepped and ready to go, and he said, you know what, why not? We're going to head on out to Salt Lake City and go play with the ARCA Menards West Series guys like we were going to anyhow. And good to have Brian here making his ARCA Menards Series debut, picking up a top 10 finish in his debut race with us earlier this afternoon. Brian Kaminsky finishing 8th here earlier this afternoon in that number 80 automobile. There you see leader Blaine Perkins stretching out that advantage over Jesse Love in second. About 10 car lengths between each of the top 3 automobiles as they work their way down out of turn 15 and onto the front stretch here. Blaine Perkins, your leader. Jesse Love in second. Will Rogers back in third. Here you see Chris Wright in 4th. Got a pretty big gap over Taylor Gray back in the 5th position. Blaine Perkins, there you see a little bit of damage to the left front corner of that automobile. That's right where it happened, right there. He had that left front tire go down on that late race restart with 2 laps to go. He went flying off into that gravel trap and did a little bit of damage to the left front corner of that car, but not hampering him at all here in the early going of race number 2 of the Ineos Sunrise Ford Twins, presented by the West Coast Stock Car Hall of Fame. Blaine looking for career win number 1 here in the ARCA Menards Series West. Everybody doing a pretty good job keeping all 4 tires on the pavement there, even though Gio Scelzi grabbing a big handful of steering wheel back there as they work their way out of turn number 8. There you see him crashing away from turns 9, 10, and 11. Will Rogers holding on to that. That was, I believe, the 3rd and battle for 3rd and 4th. Rogers in 3rd. Chris Wright wanting to be in 3rd. He's trying to find his way past as they work their way through turn 14 and 15. Again, no scheduled pit stops here in today's twin 30 lappers. Each of these races sufficiently short enough that you should be able to make it on tires and fuel. The only time you're going to come down pit road to change those general tires is if you fly off the racetrack and one of these pieces of gravel happens to cut one of those tires down. Otherwise, everybody going to start and finish on the same set of general tires. Not going to come down for fuel. 66 miles the race distance. Everybody should be able to make 66 miles on 1 tank of gas, so not going to stop for Sunoco race fuel as well. As you see that battle for 3rd continuing to wage on. Chris Wright really thrashing that car around as you try to make up some ground here on Will Rogers in a battle for that 3rd position. Rogers opening up the gap here a little bit as they work their way off in turns 7 and 8. Rogers trying to close in a little bit on Jesse Love. Love has opened up a pretty big gap now on that battle for that 3rd position. Here you see Chris Wright thrashing it through turn 10. That's 2nd attitude. 1st attitude, 2nd attitude, and bad attitude. That combination of corners. Turns 9, 10, and 11. And apparently 2nd attitude just about as bad attitude is right there, because Chris getting off track a little bit. Picking up fine dust as they work their way through the backside of the racetrack here. And you'll see turn number 14 right there. It's a little smoke off of that number 42 car. Will Rogers, don't know if that was just a little bit of brake lock up or if there actually is some sort of issue with that automobile. Let's see if that gets worse as the race goes on here. There's Jesse Love as he tries to keep Blaine Perkins in sight. Perkins setting a pretty torrid pace here in the early going of our second race this afternoon at Utah Motorsports Campus. Jesse Love picking up career win number 1. Looking to continue on that tradition of weekend doubleheader sweeps here in the ARCA Menards Series West. We talked about some of those doubleheaders earlier. You know, they started the tradition back in 2017 at Irwindale Speedway. It was a same-day doubleheader won by Todd Gilliland. The next year, they moved the doubleheader format to Tucson, and Cody Vanderwall swept both ends of that doubleheader back in 2018. In 2019, Derek Kraus won both ends of the same-day doubleheader, also at Tucson Raceway Park. It wasn't a same-day doubleheader, but it was a weekend doubleheader right here at Utah Motorsports Campus back in 2016. Noah Gregson won both ends of those. So that has to put a little added pressure on. I don't even know if Jesse Hillman knows this, but cosmically, that's got to put a little added pressure on him. There you see some smoke out of the tailpipes of the number 17 automobile. Looked like it was out of the tailpipes. The number 17 of Taylor Gray right there. Don't know if that was a little brake lock up that just looked like some smoke out of the tailpipes or what. But again, keep a close eye on that automobile to see if there's any mechanical issues as we go on. With the final 23 laps, 7 laps now complete, 23 remaining here at Utah Motorsports Campus. Taylor Gray driving for DGR Crosley, that race team co-owned by David Gilliland, former West Coast stock car star turned team owner. Of course, David also a former pole winner at the Daytona 500. And remember that stunning upset victory he had driving for Clay Andrews Racing down at Kentucky Speedway in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. What an impressive performance that was. Kind of put David on the national stock car radar. There you see the battle for the lead. Well, not much of a battle for the lead. Actually, a pretty good battle for that third position. Chris Wright trying to close in, maybe trade a little paint there with Will Rogers. Anytime you can get on the right up on the back bumper, maybe knock on the door a little bit there, maybe put a little pressure on that guy in front of you. Maybe there he is, nudging him, trying to nudge him out of the way a little bit. Chris Wright moving Will Rogers out of the way as they exit turn 12. Just as I was talking about it, Chris Wright making the bump and run. Will Rogers not wanting to give that spot up at all. He's going to shove Chris Wright back up into that outside groove. And again, there you see that smoke out of the 42 car. Chris Wright trying to find his way past. Not able to get up there and give him the shove again off of turn number 15. But what a perfectly executed bump and run out of turn number 12 for a guy that said he was just trying to figure out how these stock cars are. Well, he has figured out how to use the nose of the bumpers quite well. Let's see what they do down here in turn 1. Will Rogers going to drift up the racetrack just a little bit and leave the bottom side. The preferred groove wide open there for Chris Wright as they work their way now through turns 2, 3, 4, and off into turn 5. You see turn 4 right there and up into turns 5 and 6. Whoa, Chris Wright really thrashing that car around as he slings it through the switchbacks there off into turns 5 and 6. Chris Wright picking up a runner-up finish in his debut round here in the ARCA Menards Series West. Utah Motorsports Campus. He was again the 2018 IMSA Prototype Challenge champion. A lot of road course experience. Also spent, at least was planning on spending his 2020 racing season in Europe. Don't know if those plans have changed due to the worldwide pandemic situation, but in any case, good to have Chris Wright with us, making his ARCA Menards Series West debut. There you see a good battle brewing for the 5th and 6th position. Taylor Gray and Gio Scelzi. These two drivers finished nose to tail in round number 1 earlier this afternoon, but they had swapped those positions. Gio finishing 3rd and Taylor Gray finishing in 4th. These drivers, there you see definitely some smoke out of the tailpipes of Taylor Gray as he downshifted to make his way into turn number 14 there. Oh, there you see Will Rogers out of the groove through turn number 15. He's going to give up a couple of positions. And again, we saw some smoke out of the 42 car earlier this afternoon. Looks like there may be some mechanical issues on that number 42 car. Will Rogers definitely off the pace, and he's given up some ground and given up a couple of positions to Taylor Gray and Gio Selzy. That's going to move Taylor up to the 4th position and Gio Selzy up into 5th. Will Rogers, at least for now, back into the 6th position, but that car definitely sounding a little sick as it went by us here at our broadcast position on the front straightaway. Gio Selzy continuing to try to find his way past Taylor Gray as these two now battle for that 4th position. Taylor's starting to open up about a 2 to 3 car length advantage as they work their way now into that looks like turns 9, 10, and 11. There you see them jump the rumble strips as they go through second attitude and bad attitude right there. What a spectacular camera shot that is when you see those big, heavy 3,300-pound stock cars with sometimes all 4 wheels off the ground, and these drivers are really on the hammer through those corners as we work our way now into turn 12. Not quite up there close enough to attempt a little bump and run as they work their way now into turns 13, 14, and 15. Still seeing that smoke out of the right side tailpipes there of the number 17 automobile. Taylor Gray opening up about a 2 car length advantage over Gio Selzy now as we come to complete lap number 10. 1/3 of the way home here in round number 2 of the Ineos Sunrise Ford Twins, race number 2, presented by the West Coast Stock Car Hall of Fame. And we are hearing down from pit road that the 42 may be having some brake issues. Don't know, so they may have to come down pit road and take a look under the hood there. Don't know what exactly the issue is, but definitely hampering the performance of Will Rogers. There's Holly Holland in the number 50, the JBL.com Toyota for Bill McAnally Racing, another of our Bounty rookie contenders here in 2020. Holly having a pretty solid afternoon here this afternoon. Currently running back in the 11th position, but look how clean that car is. Holly, as a young lady, following her father Harley Holland's open wheel exploits in the state of Oklahoma, really didn't have any stock car experience at all before she hopped behind the wheel of this number 50 car to start the season at the Bull Ring at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Doing a very fine job keeping the fenders on that car here today. Getting a lot of experience and a very fun young lady to talk to as well. Had a chance to talk to her a couple of times throughout the break between Las Vegas and here at Utah Motorsports campus. Looking to have she needs maybe a little luck here, maybe caution flag to get her back in contention to get top 10 finish here this afternoon, but doing a great job keeping the fenders on that car and getting a lot of experience as she makes a run for the Bounty Rookie of the Year award here in the Untitled Series West. Why don't we go ahead and take a look at the lead. There you see Blaine Perkins stretching out that advantage over Jesse Love. And don't even see Jesse in the shot. There he is, finally making an appearance behind Blaine Perkins there as they work their way through turns 5 and 6. Blaine looking to do what Jesse Love did in round number 1 here this afternoon and pick up career win number 1. There you see Chris Wright back in the 3rd position. Chris, the runner-up finisher in the first race here today. Everybody in the top 3 kind of minding their P's and Q's here as we wind our way towards the halfway point here in our second round of a twilight doubleheader here at the Utah Motorsports campus. See Jesse slinging that car through turn 11. That's why they call that turn bad attitude right there. Jesse Love getting a little handful through bad attitude right there. You saw him making a big grab on that steering wheel as he thrashed his way through turns 10 and 11. Now making his way down into turns 15, 14, and 15. Coming to complete lap number 12. So in about 3 more laps, we will give out that Richmond Water Heaters Halfway Award. $250 up for grabs as Jesse Love's going to have to make up a little ground on Blaine Perkins if he wants to make a sweep here today at that Richmond Water Heaters halfway award. Look at that gap that they have opened up in third. About a half straightaway advantage over Chris Wright back in third. There's Taylor Gray back in fourth. Saw him right there at the edge of the camera screen. We talked about Jerry Pitts. Jerry being inducted into the West Coast Stock Car Hall of Fame here in 2020. Had quite a lot of success with Noah Gragson behind the wheel of that number 7 automobile, picking up some wins not only here on the West Coast, but on the East Coast as well. Of course, if I can talk right here, Noah making the transition into not only NASCAR Truck Series racing, which he did with Kyle Busch Motorsports, but making that transition into the NASCAR Xfinity Series, now driving for Junior Motorsports, Team Motors, Dale and Kelly Earnhardt. And Chris Wright making his debut appearance in the this is the ARCA Menards Series West. Yeah, making his debut appearance with us here this weekend. Doing a great job in round number 1, finishing in second position, right behind race leader Jesse Love, trying to pick up the couple of extra positions here in round number 2. He's got a good piece underneath him. And just maybe needs a little caution flag to get those tires cool and pick up some of that lost traction that he's got to make up here as he winds his way through turns 13, 14, and 15. As we come to complete lap 13, there's Gracie Trotter. Gracie currently running back in that 7th position. We talked a little bit about her earlier here this afternoon. She was finding a little handling issue in that first race of the afternoon. Very loose race car anytime she had to make one of those right-hand turns. So apparently the crew went to work on that automobile and tuned it up just right for her. Looks like she's got everything she's looking for here in round number 2, currently running in that 7th position. There you see her trying to close the gap in on Todd Souza, who's up in that 6th spot. Crew Chief Roger Bracken making those adjustments on Gracie Trotter's automobile. There you see Trevor Huddleston. Trevor started way out back, started 13th here in round number 2. Trevor was a DNF in the opening round here today, elected to start the backup car at the tail end of the field. He started to knife his way up through the field, currently running back in the 8th position. One of the 2 Sunrise Ford entries for Bob Ducati, another West Coast Stock Car Hall of Fame member here this weekend. Hate to see anybody who is battling for the championship have an unfortunate end of their day. It looked like Trevor had some mechanical issues there in race number 1, slid off the racetrack and came to a stop, but unfortunately the grass around the race car also catching on fire, and the safety crew doing a good job getting that fire put out. Now, thankfully wasn't a big fire, but in any case, you never want to see your race car surrounded by flames. As you see Gracie Trotter sliding that car through turn, I believe that was turn 12. But in any case, Trevor Huddleston doing a good job knifing his way through the field as he's now battling with Gracie Trotter for that 7th position here as we come to complete the halfway point. Next time we flash under the start-finish line, we will be halfway home here in round number 2 at Utah Motorsports Campus. There you see Trevor Huddleston right there all over the back bumper of Gracie Trotter as they work their way off of turn 15. He might have been able to give Gracie a little bump and run right there. Discretion, the better part of valor right there, as he's able to slot back in. And Gracie's going to drift up the racetrack just a little bit right there and open the door, but Trevor not able to sneak his way in and take over that 7th position just yet. But I don't think he's going to give up the ghost here quite yet as they work their way off into turns 5 and 6. See if we can find Blaine Perkins out on the racetrack as he works his way down the backside of the racetrack. He will come across the start-finish line. Unless something drastic changes here in the next couple of seconds, he's going to flash across the start-finish line. He's making his way into turns 13 and 14 right now. And he will see the cross flags this time around and pick up that Richmond Water Heaters halfway award. we go ahead and take a look at our Richmond Water Heaters halfway recap, as we do see Trevor Huddleston now work his way to the inside of Gracie Trotter in a battle for that 7th position. Our Richmond Water Heaters halfway recap, it's been all Blaine Perkins up at the front of this one. He started from the General Tire pole, has led all 15 laps. We've been caution-free here so far in race number 2 of our Twilight doubleheader here at Utah Motorsports Campus. Second place driver Jesse Love picked up the win here in round number 1. Jesse about a second and a half off the back bumper of Blaine Perkins as they work their way through turns 8, 9, and 10. As you see that battle for position continue to brew, there you see our leader Blaine Perkins, as he's got a little advantage there over Jesse Love in second, working their way off into turns 9, 10, and 11. You see 4th and 5th on the racetrack. There's Taylor Gray. I was going to say Taylor Gray. Don't want to do that too often. The smoke out of the tailpipes as Taylor works his way through the gearbox, downshifting. As he holds on to that 4th position. Gio Selzy holding on to 5th. Gio finishing 3rd here earlier this afternoon. His first ever stock car start on a road course. Gio doing a great job. We talked about him turning right to go left. He's actually turning right to go right here this afternoon and doing a very good job at it as he picked up a top 5 finish, actually picking up a podium finish in his first ever stock car start on a road course. These two going at it for the 4th and 5th position as we are just past the halfway point here at Utah Motorsports Campus. Got a report on Will Rogers. We've tried to keep an eye on Will as he has dropped back into the 9th position. Will, one of the drivers we expected to contend for victory here this afternoon. We do have a report from pit road that there is an issue. Somehow they've either cracked a brake line or somehow are leaking some brake fluid. They definitely do have a brake issue. But rather than bring them down pit road, the team says, hey, stay out. We're going to leave you out, and you're not doing too bad for a driver without brakes. So just hang out and we'll see what we can do. But in any case, Will Rogers still holding on to the lead lap. He's back in the 9th position, just trying to make the best of a bad day here so far. As, he was expected to be one of the drivers contending Blaine Perkins up at the front of the field for the victory here in round number 2. There you see that battle continuing on for that 4th position between Taylor Gray and Gio Selzy. Gio continuing to thrash that car back and forth. You see a good look inside of that number 16 car. The Napa Auto Parts Curb Records Chevrolet. And you know, you talk about, as you see Gio on the hammer kicking that car sideways out of turn 13. Talk about members of that West Coast Stock Car Hall of Fame. Both Bill McAnally, team owner, and Mike Curb, the car owner, members of the West Coast Stock Car Hall of Fame. It's good to see Bill McAnally here in action earlier this afternoon, shepherding all 5 of his drivers to a hospitality appearance to the spectators on hand here at Utah Motorsports Campus earlier this afternoon. So Bill McAnally, one of the busiest men in the ARCA Menards Series West here this afternoon. A look at the number 12 car. We saw it very briefly. We'll see if we can get him back on camera here in a second. That was the number 12 car of Lawless Allen. Lawless, we saw him with some transmission issues at the end of race number 1. He was our Bounty Rookie Spotlight contender today. There you see Lawless Allen back on camera. He was our Bounty Rookie Spotlight earlier this afternoon. Had some unfortunate apparent transmission issues earlier at the end of round number 1. They hastily prepared the backup car. Unfortunately, he missed the actual green flag of the race. Lawless out there currently running some 8 laps behind. But you see, hey, the numbers are on there. Number 12. A little duct tape out there will make anything happen, but the Auto Park It decals, unfortunately, not able to be applied to that car in the very quick turnaround. But good to see Lawless Allen back out on the racetrack. He's already picked up a couple of positions. Unfortunate early end to race number 2 for Takuma Koga and Bobby Hillis Jr. So Lawless Allen has moved up from the 14th position into the 12th position, and he is our Bounty Rookie Spotlight here at Utah Motorsports Campus. There is the battle for the lead. There you see Jesse Hill kicking that car sideways out of turn number 12, trying to keep Blaine Perkins in sight. It's been all Blaine Perkins here in round number 2. 18 laps complete. He has led all 18 of them from the General Tire pole, and Jesse Love has run in that 2nd position each of those 18 laps as well. He tried to make that outside groove work, just as he did on a mid-race restart in race number 1. Couldn't quite make it stick on that outside groove through turn number 1 on the initial start here today. That allowed Blaine Perkins to jump out into the lead, and he has led the entire distance. 19 laps now in the books, 11 to go here in the Ineos Sunrise Ford Twins at Utah Motorsports Campus, again presented by the West Coast Stock Car Hall of Fame. Had a lot of fun talking about all those West Coast Stock Car Hall of Fame inductees that we have participating here with us this afternoon. Blaine Perkins working his way as we will come to 10 to go this time around. Making his way down into turns 7 and 8. Agony right there, and Ecstasy right there. They will work their way off into first attitude, bad attitude, and, first attitude, second attitude, and bad attitude on the back. Why don't we go ahead and take a look at a battle for position. We've kept our eye on Trevor Huddleston. He has just worked his way past Todd Souza to take over the 5th position. Trevor having a wonderful run here in race number 2. He had those problems in the early going of our first race here today, and had to pull the backup car out, and has worked his way from the tail of the field now up into the top 5. So a great run by Trevor Huddleston in that Sunrise Ford number 6. And also a pretty good run by Todd Souza there. Todd, a former winner here at Utah Motorsports Campus. That was back in 2008 when we ran the entire 3.1 or 3.2 mile full course here. Oh, there you see Trevor pushing that car just a little too hard right there and drifting out of the groove. That's going to allow Todd Souza to close the gap up just a little bit. Try to put some pressure on him here as he works his way into turns 13, 14, and 15. Oh, Todd locking up the right front tire right there just a little bit. But Todd picking up his only career West Series victory right here at Utah Motorsports Campus back in 2008. Trevor Huddleston, a pair of victories here in the series, both of them coming last season. One at his home track, Irwindale Speedway, where we will be next Saturday, right back here on Track Pass and on NBCSN. Also picking up a win up at Washington State at the Evergreen Speedway, just outside of Seattle, Washington. So Trevor Huddleston looking to regroup after a bad finish in round number 1, looking to score a top 5 here in round number 2 here in Utah. In the books, 10 laps to go to settle it here at Utah Motorsports Campus. Blaine Perkins holding on to the top spot over Jesse Love, Chris Wright, Gio Selzy, and Trevor Huddleston. There you see Huddleston in that number 6 automobile. And there you see the 6th place driver, Todd Souza, Central Coast Cabinets Toyota. Ooh, Trevor really slinging it through the S's over there, turns 9, 10, and 11. Way off in turn 12. If Trevor's going to make him run at that 4th position, he's going to really have to hustle this car, or he's going to need to get a caution flag, because the top 4 have really separated themselves the entire distance and more of the front straightaway. Actually, Gio Selzy working his way off of turn 1 right now. You see this battle for the 5th position now working its way into turn 15. So they are significantly behind the top 4 drivers here this afternoon. Going to need a caution flag for Trevor Huddleston as he waves to somebody there as he stuck his hand out as he crossed the start-finish line to complete his 21st lap here today. Maybe signaling Todd Souza. Say, hey, buddy, appreciate you giving me a little break there a couple of laps ago. There's Gracie Trotter again in the number 99 Ineos Toyota, another of the 5 Bill McAnally cars. You see Todd Souza dipping the right side tires off, doing a little damage to the right front corner of that automobile right there as he dipped it off into the gravel. I don't know if that's going to affect anything right there. As we jump back up to the lead, there you see Blaine Perkins in the 4-star Fruit Ford. Blaine with a pretty comfortable advantage over Jesse Love in that 2nd position right now. Coming across to complete lap 22. 8 laps remaining here at Utah Motorsports campus. And we talked about what Jesse Love was feeling inside that cockpit, what was going through his head, and what the emotions were like. Well, we got to wonder, same thing here for Blaine Perkins. He is looking for career win number 1. And anytime you're closing in on that big first victory and you've got that lead, you start to hear all kinds of noises inside that race car. Every little sound that race car makes, every little piece of gravel out on the race course. Gotta wonder what is going on inside the helmet there as Blaine Perkins continues to wind his way around the race course here while making his way to turns 7 and 8. Also have to wonder what the crew is telling Blaine as he cycles around the racetrack. The worst thing that you could probably do to a driver like Blaine, who has run a very solid race, just don't tell him, hey, we've got a good lead, just relax, take it easy, because you don't want to get this driver out of his rhythm. Blaine has had a very good rhythm to this point, has done a very nice job, has stayed very consistent with each and every time around the racetrack. He hasn't varied in lap time too often, so the last thing you want to do is throw him out of his rhythm. Doing a really nice job now, opening up a significant advantage, almost a half straightaway advantage here on the main straightaway over Jesse Love in that 2nd position. Here you see Jesse throwing that car through turn number 1, the Napa Power Premium Plus. So you got to get those words all in the right order and make sure you get that sponsor right. But there you see Jesse Love working his way through turns 3, 4, and 5. Got Jesse picking up the Bounty Rookie of the Race Award with his victory in round number 1. Ooh, there we see our first on-track incident of the day. Brian Kaminsky getting turned sideways out on the race course. Let's see if we got a replay of that action with Brian Kaminsky in that number 80 automobile. Working his way through turns 9, 10, and 11. Just couldn't quite keep up with the steering through bad attitude right there and getting turned a little sideways. Doing a good job of keeping that car under power. Was able to get pointed back in the right direction. There you see Brian Kaminsky in that number 80, the Cox & Cox Construction Chevrolet. Currently holding on to that 9th position. So going to pick up a pair of top 10 finishes in his debut weekend here in the ARCA Menards Series West. Redding, California. Coming to us after his debut event at Sonoma Raceway was unfortunately knocked off the calendar. Good to have him here with us in Tuella, Utah, as we go racing a twilight doubleheader here at Utah Motorsports Campus. Let's go back up to the front of the field. There you see Blaine Perkins working his way around the race course. This time by, Blaine will see the 5 to go signal. 5 laps to go. And for the first time today, we're going to look through a little lap traffic. He's to the outside of Holly Holland there in the number 50 automobile. Had 3 caution flags in the opening race here today. That kind of kept everybody bunched up and on the lead lap. But Holly, unfortunately, the first driver to fall off the lead lap here today. Blaine, excuse me. I was thinking Brian Kaminsky, but there you see Blaine Perkins working his way through turns 9, 10, and 11. Now off turn 12. There you see Brian Kaminsky signaling to our leader, hey, go to the inside. Giving him a lot of room as he works to the inside into turn 13. You see Jesse Love trying to follow suit. And we will get the 5 to go signal this time around. There you see Chris Wright, who is currently holding on to that 3rd position. Chris finished 2nd in our opening race here earlier this afternoon. And hopefully pick up a pair of podium finishes in his debut weekend with the ARCA Menards Series West. MasterTech Chevrolet. Chris still thrashing that automobile around as he works his way into turns 5 and 6. Inside of 5 laps to go here in the Enios Sunrise Ford Twins, presented by the West Coast Stock Car Hall of Fame. There's the 16, Gio Selzy, working his way through turns 6, 7, 8, and 9. Gio now sitting in the 4th position. He finished 3rd here in the opener here today, so Gio going to have a very solid day in his first ever round of road course racing. Now working his way off into turns 7 and 8. Got a little ahead of him. Actually, no, I am completely lost on the racetrack right now. Gio working through turns 9, 10, and 11. Oh, we've only been here all day. I'm finally getting the layout of this racetrack down pat, and we're within 5 laps of the finish. Good job, Charlie. But here comes Gio Selzy off of turn 12 and into turns 13, 14, and 15. And it is going to be a very good day for Gio Selzy. And again, the youngest ever winner in the World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series, picking up a win last season at the venerable Williams Grove Speedway in Pennsylvania. If you win at Williams Grove, you have done a fantastic job. That is a very demanding racetrack. And again, World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series, those are the best of the best. And Gio took it to him there last year as we come to complete lap 26. So 4 to go this time by, as there you see Chris Wright closing in on Holly Holland. Holly again not on the lead lap. There's a good shot of Gio Selzy as he works his way through turn number 4 off into turns 5 and 6. We're going to go back up to the front of the field and check in on Blaine Perkins. There you see Blaine working his way coming into the chicane. Blaine has had a fantastic day. There you see him working through second attitude. There's bad attitude right there. That's where we saw Brian Kaminsky get sideways just a few moments ago. Now working his way off into turn 12. Blaine having, you know, if this were to go to the old Burger King commercial, he's having it his way here this afternoon. He has led every lap here in round number 2. He has picked up the General Tire Pole Award in both races. Started from the pole in round number 1, started from the pole in round number 2. He has led every lap here in the second race here today. He's going to come to complete lap 27 this time around. 3 to go. 3 laps to go for Blaine Perkins, and he will be celebrating career win number 1. Don't want to give it to him just yet, but there you see the advantage. We are still waiting, still waiting, still waiting. There you see Jesse Love in the number 19 car, making his way off a turn 2, a full length of the front straightaway. Now the gap between first and second. There's first, right, and third. He's about to dive off into turn 1. In fourth. So everybody pretty comfortable here among the top 4 automobiles as we've got just 3 laps remaining to put a period on it here at Utah Motorsports Campus today. Pretty unique twilight doubleheader here at the road course just outside of Salt Lake City, Utah. Had a 45-minute practice session today that also doubled as our qualifying session. The fastest lap each driver set in that time was how we lined up for round number 1. Blaine Perkins led them to green. He led the first handful of laps before he got passed by Jesse Love. Jesse led the final 22 laps to score his first career ARCA Menards Series West win. There you see Jesse working his way through turns 9 and 10. He set the field for round number 2 based on the fastest lap each driver set in that first race, and that again put Blaine Perkins up on the front row, up on the General Tire pole, and he started off at the drop of the green flag and has not been challenged since. Jesse Love trying to stay in contact, doing everything he can just to keep Blaine Perkins in sight. It's not really working out for him too well. There you see Blaine working off turn 15. He will come across the start-finish line to get the 2 to go signal this time around. Let's see if we can see. There you see Jesse Love right there at the top of the screen. Close the gap in maybe just a little bit there on that lap, but that's not going to be enough to make a big difference here as we got just 2 laps to go here at Utah Motorsports Campus. If anything, Chris Wright maybe start to close the gap in a little bit. Jesse Love trying to make it a battle for that second position. Chris Wright working through turns 3, 4, and now up into turn 5. Jesse Love out of Menlo Park, California, just 15 years of age. Picked up the win earlier this afternoon. Looks like he's going to have to settle for a runner-up finish here in our second event this afternoon. In any case, what a fantastic day for Jesse Love and that Bill McAnally Racing team. Crew Chief Kyle Wallisette doing a great job setting up that automobile and giving Jesse a great chance to pick up a pair of victories here today. In any case, he's going to pick up at least 1, if not 2. Doesn't look like he's going to pick up that second victory, as we will be looking at the white flag this time around. You saw Gio Salzi kicking up a huge cloud of dust as he made his way through turn number 10 that time around. Gio not giving up the ghost, trying to pick up that 3rd position here with just a lap and a half to go at Utah Motorsports Campus. There you see Blaine Perkins working his way off of turn number 15. He is looking at the white flag. We are on the final lap here at Utah Motorsports Campus. Blaine Perkins now off into turn number 1. We're going to follow him around all the way here on this last lap. Make sure he keeps all 4 of those General Tires between the white lines. Making his way through turn number 3, off into turns 4, 5, and 6. Blaine Perkins doing everything right here in round number 2 at the Utah Motorsports Campus. Now making his way into turn 6. Going to come down into the aptly named agony and ecstasy. That has been the definition of Blaine's day here this afternoon. It was agony at the end of round number 1. It's going to be ecstasy here at the end of round number 2. He is a half a lap away from picking up career win number 1 here in the ARCA Menards Series West. Best finish to this point has been 3rd earlier this season at the Bull Ring at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Finished 6th in both races here at Utah Motorsports Campus back in 2016. This is his 32nd career start here in the ARCA Menards Series West. He is just a couple of corners away. Working his way into turns 13, 14, and 15. Now making his way into the final corner onto the home stretch. Blaine Perkins looking at the checkered flag. He will pick up the win here in round number 2 of the Ineos Sunrise Ford Twins. Here comes Jesse Love off of turn number 15. He's going to finish second. Chris Wright coming across the stripe in third. Gio Selzy coming home in fourth. Gio kicking up a cloud of dust as he made his way off turn 15. You can take the dirt track away from the racer, but you can't take the racer off the dirt track, apparently. Gio Selzy thinking he was back at Williams Grove there coming off turn 15. Here you see Blaine Perkins, our winner here in round number 2 at the Utah Motorsports campus. You see a little post-race action there with Todd Souza getting off into the gravel. That number 13 automobile. Todd coming across to finish in the 6th position. A little damage to the right front corner of that automobile. And that when he dipped the tires off into the gravel, battling with Gracie Trotter a little bit earlier in the race. Down into turn 1 on the cool down lap there and got up into the gravel. But there you see Blaine Perkins, our winner, here in race number 2 at the Utah Motorsports campus, coming down to collect that checkered flag. Well earned and a well-deserved victory, leading start to finish from the General Tire pole. Congratulations go to Blaine Perkins on picking up career win number 1 here in the ARCA Menards Series West. Big day for that Bob Brancati-owned Sunrise Ford racing team. Always good when you can pick up the win when your race team sponsor is also sponsoring the race. There you see some of the Hardy race fans here in action. And, you know, we understand that it's been pretty tough the last few months, everybody kind of being trapped inside. So it's good to see a handful of race fans being able to join us out here in Tooele, Utah. There you see a very excited
nice to have you guys back.
Blaine Perkins.
Nice to see you.
Picking up win number 1 in his ARCA Menards Series West career right here at the Utah Motorsports campus. When the Stock Car Hall of Fame and your company is the sponsor of the race, it's good to have you end up in victory lane, and that's exactly where Blaine Perkins is parked right now.
Good job, man. You too.
Congrats on your
Putting
first
on that Sunrise
win,
Ford
Blaine.
face covering. Let's see if we can get a word with our winner, Blaine Perkins.
Congrats on your first win, Blaine. You had to come back and get some redemption from that first race after getting a flat tire. You had quite a lead there at the end. What does this win mean to you right now in this moment?
Man, this is everything. I'm just so thankful Bob Brancati gives me this opportunity to drive this historic number 9 in this series. He's done so much for me this year, and I told him the only thing I want at the end of the year is that big trophy in Phoenix. So that's what we're focused on from the get-go, and getting our first win's definitely going to help. So just really thank you to Sunrise Ford, 4-Star Fruit, my mom, my dad, everybody who gets me here to the racetrack. It wouldn't be possible without any of them.
You led from wire to wire. Were you aware of how much of a lead you had there at the end?
Yeah, they started telling me distance, and it felt pretty good, honestly. It felt weird driving a little bit slower, trying not to make a mistake, but it worked out in the end, and we got the checkered flag.
Congratulations.
Thank you.